Okay, so I'm excited about this next lesson because now that we've completed our nine heads figure, oops, hang on, let me get my camera oriented. Okay, so we've completed our just standing still nine heads figure. She's nice and tall, vertical paper, 14 by 17, shading, details. We learned about face proportions. We put a small face on her. I spent a little more time just sort of finishing her hairstyle and actually had a lot of fun with that. And I darkened up my shading on her as well. And I spent a little more time on this face because I thought she was needed just a little touching up. So now we're going to move on and we're going to do a variation on this. Today we're going to do a high hip pose. Okay. So this pose, as you can see, has a lot more attitude. And this pose is the basis for all kinds of great poses that we can do, including a walking pose. You can see on both of these, the hip on this side is popping out. Here's our vertical plumb line. The hip is popping out. And what that does is it puts her weight on that leg and allows us to move the other leg around. So she can be walking or she can have her leg out to the side. There's a lot of things you can do. So I'll teach you how to do that right now. Let me go ahead and get a fresh piece of paper. I'm going to go ahead and rule it out the same way we did before with 1 3/8 in between each line so that we can follow the same proportions and get a lady who's going to fit our paper really nicely. Okay, I'll pause and I'll be right back. All right, I've got my paper ruled out. I'm going to go ahead and number my levels starting at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I went ahead and went down to 10. Okay, and then I've got about an inch of space up here at the top, and I went ahead and put my plumb line in. This is my PLUMB, plumb line. That means vertical, pulling down with gravity. Sometimes students ask me what distance I went from the side to put my figure, and I'm a little more than 4 inches. I can fit 2 people on this page, so I went ahead and just drew one line. I'll draw her here today, but this leaves me a little space if I want to do another one later. All right, what we're going to need is our drawing pencils. I have an HB that I'll use for the bulk of this, and I have a 2B I'll use for some finishing touches and fine tuning. I've got my ruler, I've got my erasers, I've got my pencil sharpener, and I think I'm ready to go. You may want to also, you can see over here, I've got my previous drawing next to me, which be sure you guys send me a message. If you feel like you drew your lady and something doesn't quite feel right, hang on just a sec. Sorry, that was a student coming by to drop something off. I don't even remember what I was saying. Okay, yes, I do. If you drew your lady and you're not super happy with any particular part of her body, please send me a message. I'll see if I can advise you on adjustments you can make. But if you're happy with her, terrific. Keep her nearby because we can reference some dimensions off of her as we do this new pose. Okay, so once we've got our plumb line, okay, once you've got your plumb line, line, geez, you guys, plumb line, PLUMBLINE. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put our body into place. Before we do that, we need to draw her spine. As we were just saying, on these high hip poses, which is similar to a walking pose, the spine bends out so that the hip can pop up. So we're going to do that. I have a couple of reference photos next to me too that'll be really nice to have handy. But what I'm drawing right now is basically her spine, okay? And when we drew her the other day, the hips are at 4, the crotch is a little bit below that, okay? And actually, I feel like as I'm looking at her now, I think I probably could have made her crotch a little higher on here. It's funny, like, I swear, you guys, I walk away from things, I come back, I see them differently. I'm sure you guys do the same. Okay, anyway, crotch is below 4, but not quite 4.5, okay? So I need my spine to do the same thing. I'm gonna come from level 1, which is where the bottom of her head is, and I'm gonna just gently curve this line or bring it away from the plumb line, ending right about here where I think her crotch is gonna be. Now, notice I'm not that far away from the plumb line. You don't really need to get super far away from the plumb line to give her some attitude. On the contrary, if you are too far away, it's going to make it really tricky in the next steps to do the legs. Okay, so I would say I'm a little less than a half an inch. I don't think you should go more than a half inch away from the plumb line. You will get a really nice pose with just a half inch away. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly tilt her head. It tends to make the drawing more dynamic. If we've got this sort of S bend, or you'll hear people talking about an S curve. That's what they're talking about, where we've got a curve here, then the hip, then the leg, and we just end up with this very dynamic drawing, okay? So at this stage, all I've done is mark my levels, put my plumb line, and rough in where I want her spine to be. I'm gonna put a head on here, and you will need to put a face and hair and details on the face from a reference photo, so you can do that at any time. And if you're not sure how to do that, go back to the previous lesson where I talked through the face proportions, where to put the eyes, where to put the brow, the nose, the mouth, the ears, the hairline, all of that good stuff. Okay, next step. Let's start putting in our landmarks, same as we did the other day. Shoulders are going to be in between 1 and 2, pretty much halfway. And to give her a little bit more drama, I'm going to tilt it very slightly. Okay, do you see it? The shoulder is just a little bit lower right here. Don't go crazy, okay, guys? If you go too much, it's going to look a little wacky. But just a little bit, just a little bit. If at any point you're unsure how wide to make your lines, go back and measure off your previous drawing. And I know in my previous recording I mentioned how wide to make everything. Just make sure that when you do your symmetry, you're measuring the symmetry off of this new line, okay, this new line, because that's her center. Let's put her waist at 3, same as before. The waist is going to be pretty much straight, right on the line here. Put that in something like that. And I'm going to put her hips. Her hips are at level 4 and the hips are on an angle. Okay, so if you've done a little pattern making, what I'm doing is I'm squaring off of this spine and I'm going to put my hips in. Make sure that you keep them symmetrical. So I'm going to do mine, I'm going to do about an inch on each side of her spine. Let's see if I've got a better eraser. Sometimes I go through my old cabinets and I find all my old drawing tools, which is exciting. I forgot that I had this eraser. Okay, so I've got about an inch on either side of her spine. And one more time, guys, only because I know so many students do this wrong by accident. When I'm measuring her hips, I'm measuring an inch on either side of this, okay? Don't accidentally make her skinnier on one side. This is her center. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and put those TMI lines in here. Now, the TMI lines that we did last time were great, but didn't really make that big a difference on the drawing. Today, they're going to make a difference. So when I put my TMI lines in, I'm going to go above and below the waist. This one is parallel to the shoulders. This one is parallel to the hips because that's my bone structure, right? That's my pelvis, that's my ribs. Those have to be parallel. But this is stomach. This is stomach. So in a minute, we're going to go ahead and use that to help us get some nice shape around her torso. All right, what do we got to do next? Let's go ahead and drop in some shoulder ovals. I always put ovals. It just helps me kind of visualize about where her shoulders are going to go. And I'm letting them hang off the line, okay? Just like the other day, they're about a half inch, maybe a little bit less, something like that. And they're not extending past the outermost shoulder that I defined. Once you've got some shoulders in there, if you want to go ahead and put in a neck, you certainly can, and your neck is going to come first straight and then angle out. Now, here's the thing a lot of students do I want you guys to try to avoid. When they draw the shoulders, for some reason, people think they need to go above what you've already drawn. Don't do it. You've already defined the height of the shoulders. Okay, so you can just connect. Just connect. You don't need to go up and above. I see all this stuff. It's not necessary. Okay. All right, we'll come back to the torso in a minute. Let's go ahead and work out some legs situation here. Now, when I did this the other day, the easiest way for me to do this is to just connect the sort of pelvis, sort of lower abdomen area. And then I'm going to draw in some curves to help me visualize about where her bikini line is, where her sort of high hip level is. And then there's her crotch. Okay. What we're going to do right now is we are going to draw this leg. This one right here where the hip is popped out, this is the leg that's holding her up. Let me go back and pull out my old demo just to look at this with you guys. I'm going to zoom out. What I want you to notice is that this ankle is on the plumb line. Okay, that ankle is right underneath her head. Do you see it? That means her weight is being supported by this leg. And that gives her the ability to do anything with this leg. She could bend it, kick it around, put it behind her, bend the knee, walk, whatever. As long as this ankle is on the plumb line. Okay, so this is the load-bearing leg. If you guys, in the classroom, I make people actually stand up out of their seat and pop out a hip. Put your weight all on one leg. And I want you to feel how your body shifts so that your head is above that foot. And the other hip drops down. And you're able to move this leg wherever you need to. Okay, so I definitely encourage you just to stand up, stretch for a minute, put your weight on one leg, and feel what it does to your body pose, and feel how it gives you so much freedom to move this leg around and do all sorts of stuff with this leg. Okay, back to this. We know that the knee was a little bit below 6, and I'm going to go ahead and keep it in that same area, but I'm going to put it just a tiny bit higher because this hip is a little bit higher. And you know what I'll actually do before I commit to that knee? Let me draw a line with my ruler, okay? I'm going to connect straight down to level 9, okay? I drew a little ankle circle here. I'm going to put my knee on the line at 6, okay? And that's where my leg's going to go. Once you've got your leg connected and your ankle on the line, go ahead and just draw in the leg the same way we learned to the other day. I'm going to give a nice shape for my thigh. I'm going to think about that volume of the calf so we don't end up with the dreaded spaghetti noodle legs. Let me zoom it in so you guys can see it. I'm going to wrap around that calf muscle. If you want to think about the TMI V-shape line, you can, to help you get some nice contour on that calf, where I'm going to pop that muscle out just a little bit lower on the inside than on the outside, and then connect down to your ankle. Okay. And now that we've got some practice doing this, I recommend you guys do one just kind of standard proportions, which AKA like really kind of skinny for your fashion portfolio. But then you guys can play with this. You guys can make her more curvy. You can make her more plus size. Feel free to do that. Okay, I'm down here at the bottom. Let's go ahead and give her a foot, same way we did the other day. I'm going to go straight on her instep. I'm going to drop the floor down about 9 2/3, basically closer to 10. I'm going to take the out step out on an angle, and now we can come in and just contour. I can put toes, I can put a boot, whatever you guys want to do. We can put a little ankle on her as well. I also drew in a kneecap, and I brought that down to kind of suggest that I've got a shin bone right in there. Okay, so this is great. Let me come back up. I'm going to put the details onto her body here. So from the armpit, let's go ahead and connect down to the TMI line, okay? If she feels, I'm gonna see, she's feeling very skinny, but let's see, maybe it'll work out. It's just interesting how everybody draws these just a little bit differently, and so then the adjustments at the end were like, oh, okay, just tweak it a little bit, but everything kind of shakes out how it shakes out, and sometimes they come out one way or another way. All right, so here's what's nice. If her body is compressed right here, which it is because this shoulder's low and that hip's high, we can scoop in kind of dramatically there. And this side of her body is actually going to stretch out, so that's going to have a more gentle shape. And if you can capture that, it's really nice to add that into your drawings. This area here, there's usually a kind of a bone right there. You can go straight or you can curve her hips. It just depends how curvy you want her to look. We're going to put the bust level in here. The bust is going to be parallel to the shoulders, and we put it just a little bit below level 2 when we did this the other day. So we'll do that again, about like this. I'll come in and I'll put my bust approximately like that, kind of connecting from the armpit and then swooping around like that, perhaps, something like that. Okay, and then we need to put some arms in here. So for the arms, I'm going to drop, I think I'm just going to keep this arm simple. Okay, so I'm going to put the elbow just a little below 3. It was at 3 yesterday, as you can see over here, but because this shoulder is a tiny bit lower, I'm going to drop that elbow a tiny bit lower. And then I can connect and I can connect. And if you look at reference photos, you might see that the arm is actually even scooping in a little bit right there. I'm going to pause this real quick. Okay, I just wanted to grab this packet. You guys have this in the module, and if you flip through, I think it's, sorry, the quality of the copy is not terrific, but I think that this artist has done a really excellent job of capturing some of the anatomy on the female figure. And then I grabbed pages out of other books as well, so you can flip through and just see what we're dealing with. But we're doing this exercise right here, and there are some nice poses here that if you like the look of these, you could even practice tracing them just to get the feel for how the lines go. But I really like a lot of the info in here, so this might be worth flipping through. Okay, let me finish this arm. As we talked about, the lower arm is about the same length as the upper arm, so we could put a wrist a little bit here. I'm so paranoid, you guys. I was looking at one of my previous drawings and I felt like the lower arm was too long, so now I'm so paranoid about getting it wrong with you guys. I don't want to. That seemed really long. Okay, well, that's what the math tells me, so that's what I'm going to put it. So I'm going to put this arm just like this, thinner at the wrist, thicker at the, kind of at the forearm here, and then we can put a hand in place. And honestly, if you like your hand from the other day, go ahead and use that same hand. If you need to draw another hand, I approach it by blocking it out into two rectangular shapes, and then I'm going to drop a thumb on here, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn this into fingers. Okay. I do, you guys, I swear to you, I do the same hand all the time, unless I have to do something different for some reason. All right, so now the other arm can be doing whatever you want. I'm going to say, I'm just going to, I honestly think I'm just going to keep this one simple as well. I'll put the elbow right here, maybe just a tiny bit above level 3. And we'll put the wrist out here. Okay. Make sure that I've got the upper arm and the lower arm about the same. Little thicker right there, little thinner at the wrist. And then let me go ahead and grab my reference photo of a walking pose, because that's a pretty good hand. So I'm going to go ahead and steal that hand. We've got the upper portion about like that. We've got finger and we've got finger about like that. And then we've got a thumb that comes off of it. So there's thumb. Okay, and then we see a bunch of fingers back here. Okay, that should be nice. And also because we are later in the class going to be using this lady as a template to become a walking pose. A lot of walking poses have this loose hand. Okay, now I'm looking at it, and I told you guys, I think last week, that there's nothing worse than hands that are too small. Okay, well, I just made hands that are a little too big. Okay, that's a little better. Alrighty. I'm already at 18 minutes, so I'm gonna start another video just to finish up some details on here, and I will, no, okay, maybe I'll keep going. Should I keep going? No, I'll start a new video. Okay, see you guys in the next one.